which was adorned with pointy, sharp icicles, which were 3 feet long. She wore her famous red dress, which was lined with white feathers along the neck. She wore red. She often wore red, and only red. Red and green were the colors of Christmas, but she hated green. And when she was feeling most festive, she wore blue or silver. She placed her arms on the freezing cold armrest of her beloved throne. Many people would freeze to death on such a throne, but it never bothered her. She sat on it for hours every day, feeling nothing but empowered and comfortable. She had a long day terrorizing the frost fairies of Frosthaven. Most of them had sworn allegiance to her, but still she toyed with them. After all, they loved toys. They used to be world-renowned toy makers, but the queen was glad those jolly days were over. She threatened them with fire, and she melted a few of them along with their intricate ice houses, and she laughed while doing so. Terrorizing the villages of the North Pole was her favorite pastime. The Frost Fairies said they knew of tidings from the land beyond the North Pole, the land that the Christmas Queen didn't allow them to speak of. Whatever they learned, they had to tell her, or they would be punished fatally. She would travel across the frozen land with her trusty Commander Frost and their army to interrogate and raid civilians. She started avalanches, shot icicles into people's foreheads and hearts, or froze them to death slowly. But there were some places where she would go in peace and give the children beautiful presents, even if it wasn't the holidays. The villages at the edge of the North Pole, along the ice wall. She was kind and giving to those certain villages, and the people loved her and trusted her, even though she was deceiving them. There they called her Saint Nick, and they built ice citadels in her honor. But the rest of the frozen land knew her only as the tyrant Queen Mrs. Claus, when they cursed her name and shamed her existence. They would form resistances behind her back, but she always knew and dispersed them all. She had many spies who did her bidding, the penguins of Freeze Cave and the glass balls of Ornamentville, and they spread out through the land unnoticed or unsuspectingly collecting information. "My lady," the ugly guard named Gingerbread Face said as he walked into the icy throne room with a huge sneer on his face. The queen looked at him and raised a frost-colored eyebrow. She waited for him to speak, but he was still busy smiling creepily for dramatic effect. "Hurry, before I stick an icicle in your head." That got him talking. "Word has come from Snow Hill. A white shadow has cast itself over the village, and it is massive. It does not move." The queen waited for him to elaborate on that. She wasn't sure what that meant, but this guard was from Jingle Bell, and the people from such a superstitious place liked to believe in riddles and other such mystic speech. Since they dabbled in the spiritual arts, she was also worried about what the Frost Fairies were saying, and now she had a new rumor to worry about. "They say the white shadow will loom over all of the land of the North Pole, and grow and curse us all. They say it will bring about ill fates to us all. Some say it signifies the end of the tyrant queen's reign," Gingerbread Face said in an eerie voice. His big yellow eyes widened all the more as he bored them into the queen with each word. She really hates those eyes, and she hated what he was saying. "Who are those naysayers, and why haven't you put them to rest yet? End them. I do not need people who talk of poppycock prophecies in my dominion." "But my lady, it's not just hearsay," he told her. "It's not just hearsay of the naysay." The queen began to roll her eyes because she knew to expect his endless sacrilege rambles, but Commander Frost stepped forward and spoke up. "The people of Snow Hill say that this white shadow foretells the coming of something. That is not just a shadow, but a presence, a person or beast that is making its way to your land, and it wants to overthrow you." She now looked at her trusted commander, and she began to feel a bit worried. "When did they start saying this? When was this shadow cast?" "This began a few weeks ago, I believe," the tall, frost-colored haired man answered. He was keeping his cool, as usual, but he was also worried about this rumor.
"Queen Nikita," Gingerbread Face began again, "we need to do something fast. The shadow is ever growing, and the people also say they hear footsteps. Big footsteps. It's coming closer."
Stay tuned for part 2 coming right up.